Well, greetings from apricots, watermelons, peaches, and cherries, the shaman dog. We are in the Nexus Spires, um, where Ixars are indifferent to the NPCs, and we are going to take the Nexus Spires down to the Velius continent and the Great Divide. The Great Divide on the Fangbreaker server gives us today. It gives us bonus experience, so we're going to see some bonus experience footage. Um, let's see here. Cool thing about this is that we can fully buff in the Nexus Spires, uh, and where the buffs don't tick down, and immediately get into combat with very little time between the time that you buff and that you engage a mob. Here you can see we engage with a Frost Giant Scout, and I think I like stack a couple of dots on them and then fear them, and you know, I'm making fear cutting great again, which it's really sad that fear cutting is not a thing. I know that charm kiting is more efficient. I think maybe quad kiting, even bow kiting is a thing, but if fear kiting is really kind of a lost art, which I'd like to bring back. Hooray! Just got a level. So you can see the bonus experience is pretty evident when on the Fangbreaker server. And in my opinion, I really think the bonus experience that you get really curtails a lot of the need for you to power level. It's still fairly early in the server. I made these characters a couple weeks ago, and we're pushing max level, and I'm playing this game very casually. Um, so, and you can see someone else has the same idea that I have. Some important considerations with the bonus experience on Fangbreaker is that the bonus experience zones pretty much change every day. So today it happens to be in Great Divide. Yesterday I think it was in the Over There Outpost. And there are several zones where you can get bonus experience every single day, and they rotate every day. So one day it might be in the Eastern Waste, the next day it might be in Great Divide, the next day it might be in Acrylia Caverns, the next day Icewell Keep, on and on and on. So I think that does two things. I think it definitely does curtail the need for power leveling, and I think it takes some of the power away from power levelers, because power levelers typically will sell their services from one zone. A good example of that is the deep, for example. But if the bonus experience that people are getting is upwards of 300%, and I've heard even higher rates that some of the players have reported, in a zone that power levelers aren't selling their services, then it really kind of curtails the need to power level. So if some people don't like that aspect of the game, well, guess what? On Fangbreaker, you don't have to be power leveled. I mean, you really don't have to. And it's no discourtesy to power levelers. And again, I myself have freely admit that I have been power leveled on servers where you need to get to max level fast and max AA quickly in order to be a raider, in order to have a raider status. But some people want to have a casual gameplay too, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I kind of like that that you can do that here. Another ancillary thing that it does, second thing it does, is it opens up zones where people don't go for leveling. Great Divide is not a typical leveling zone in your 40s. You can, but generally you go to a zone like that has a dungeon zone experience modifier, like Lower Guck, uh, or Old Sevelis or Chardock, for example. But you typically don't think about the Great Divide to get leveled. Um, and you see, by the end of this video, I'm approaching around 20%, and I dinged right at the beginning. But close to the end of this session, and I don't spend much time here, I'm around 20% of my way into level 43, which I think is pretty good. So yeah, I mean, you can come back to this game and level fairly quickly. I've got really crappy gear. You can see Watermelons has a complete set of scaled Mystic armor. And I was able to take advantage of, which kind of leads to my next point, is it's not just experience that's rewarded. You get bonus rewards for experience. You get bonus rewards for loot. So again, these zones change every day. So some days you'll have an experience zone, which changes from day to day. But some zones you'll have a loot zone where you have bonus loot that drops, and that changes from day to day. And there are some zones that have bonus rares, so rare mobs are more likely to spawn in certain zones. Um, and let's see. And then some zones are more likely to have or they have faster respawns, and that's one thing I wanted to make use of once I reach max level is the faster respawn timer. I think I don't really want to play around with faster respawns when I'm low level, but I think it's definitely something to take advantage of at higher levels where, say, you're looking for the key. Um, you're looking for keys to Old Sepulus or keys to Howling Stones, and um, well, maybe it's not that. That would be well, faster respawn time might affect that. I'm not sure the faster respawn would affect, say, those mobs that like Zalgods in Kesora, for example. But I believe it might. So if they respawn quicker, you might be able to get keyed into a higher level zone faster. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I believe that is. Um, there is also supposedly faction rewards that are granted. Um, I haven't worked faction rewards by zone, but those do rotate. But I don't know, I can't quantify how much faction is gained for those faction rewards. I haven't started playing around with that. And supposedly there's a skill base. There are zones where I don't know if you gain skill faster, or does that apply to just combat abilities, or does that apply to trade skills? I'm not really sure. So if anybody knows about the skill-based or the faction rewards on Fangbreaker, I'd really like to know. Well, like the zones where you have like skill modifiers, does that affect how quickly you trade skill, or are you more likely to have a successful combine for a trade skill, or does it only affect combat abilities? I don't know. With faction rewards, I don't really know how quantifiable the faction reward is to be had from going to one of those zones. Today it's Eastern Wastes and Grindling Forests. I was going to maybe head over from this Great Divide, and that's pretty cool. You can go from the Great Divide where you have an experience reward next door to the Eastern Wastes where you get a faction reward. Apricots has really crappy gear, so right now he's very close to full ally with the Coldane, the dwarves that are allied against the ice giants here. So what I was going to do is actually work Coldane armor sets, and I already had the second Coldane robe, which means I need to start cooking. The faster respawn timer and the faster loot zones might affect things like the snow griffin, which it's hard to get those snow griffin eggs to drop in the eastern wastes, or the bunnies where you're trying to get their meat used in the third Coldane shawl. So things like that. So just pay attention to the zones where these bonuses are being given, and the progression of your character and what you want to do. I worked coin yesterday in Eastern Wastes, and the ice giants in Eastern Wastes were dropping around 13 to 15 plat per giant, which is pretty good for Eastern Wastes. So you can work coin, experience, faction, loot, skill, which I don't know anything about, faction, but also respawn timers. And I was going to start playing around with respawn timers once I reach max level. In terms of these two characters, I'm probably going to work the Coldane armor set with apricots. I got a complete set of scaled mystic armor for watermelons. So I'm trying to tank with him where I can, but he actually has pretty decent middling level group content gear for like Kunark era, which is not bad. Just given I've only been on the server and I haven't really like paid anybody anything for anything. So, other than like a tip for a port into the Nexus, for example. So I kind of like. I'm kind of liking Fangbreaker. I think it'd be really cool to take this rule set and maybe combine it with the THJ rule set. I think there's really a way to marry a lot of these and make really the best of all worlds. I think there's a way there has to be a way to bring us all together. But I'm an idealist. Anyways, I'm going to continue working the Great Divide and Eastern Wastes. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care, everybody. Bye.